All right, welcome back at another episode of Indiebnb. Today we are joined by Mohit from the band Jung Mudra. I'm sure I butchered that. Please correct me, Mohit. How are we doing today?
That's about as good as I could expect. It's not English words, so Jung is
What
a
language
German
is it?
word. Jung just means young in German. Also, like Carl Jung. It's pronounced almost the same as young, but it's like a little more ooh. Like the ooh in both words is actually the same. Jung Mudra. It's like ooh ooh.
Jung Mudra.
Yeah, Jung Mudra.
I got it right now.
And mudra is
Jung
like
Mudra.
is a Sanskrit word that means seal technically, but if you like ever see like someone going like this, like the Buddha, Jesus, all those guys are doing these mudras. They're these like ancient hand symbols that have certain meanings that it's interesting. Like I picked those two words kind of as like a play on words because there's like all these rappers named Young, blah, 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 right? So I was making like rap music kind of for fun in college, not like seriously. So I was going by Jung Mudra. Jung is like a play on I'm half German. My mom's from Germany. And Mudra is like my dad's from India. So that's how the name came to be. And then at like the end of college, I put together this band to play some of these more like folk indie songs that I had written. And we used that name. And then I've kind of been keeping that project going on in the back. I went to school for classical guitar, so that was kind of like what I was really doing for a long time. And I have music out under my actual name as a classical guitarist. But now that I'm like putting out my songs, I'm using Jung Mudra again.
Very cool. Very cool. So we get a little German, some Indian influence, and then it's, all culminated into a project you started kind of back after college ended. Like, from that, have you had, multiple members in the band, or like who is in there with you now?
That's a good question. So the original Jung Mudra band was actually me, my friend Charlie, who plays trumpet, and then two other friends at college. My friend Riley Calcagno, who's a very successful violin player who lives I think he lives in North Carolina now. And then Nathan Ryder, who's a sax player who lives in Chicago. But I kind of fell out of touch with the two of them. We only did this one like kind of radio broadcast show of these songs. But Charlie, funny enough, and I still play together because he's originally from San Francisco. And I moved to the Bay Area to do my PhD a few years ago. And so we've reconnected and started playing together and recording together. That's kind of where the Jung Mudra got revived. It was kind of dormant for a while. I mean, I recorded some stuff in like the pandemic time just with a friend of mine, just for fun. That's where that song, Where You Call Back to Me, comes from. But then as of more recently, we've been doing some new stuff with more of a full band sound. So trumpet, more instruments. Yeah.
Gotcha. So, when you call back to me, that's actually our song spotlight, for you. And I'm interested to hear, you mentioned you did it during COVID. Seems like it's, a little bit different than, what the sound is, for some of the newer stuff coming out. So like, if you want to take me through a little bit about just, creating that song specifically, like what inspired you there?
Yeah, I guess I wrote that song on January 1st, 2020. I remember it all kind of came to me one morning. I woke up actually that morning and found out that a woman who was kind of like a grandmother type figure to me, especially when I was at college, I would go to dinner at their house every Sunday with a bunch of other students and, house sat for them multiple times when they were out of town, took care of their cat, Marvin. And I found out that morning on January 1st, 2020, that she had passed away. And so that song just kind of came to me just as like a full song, all the lyrics. And that at that point in my life, this was right before lockdown. I was living in Santa Fe, New Mexico, which is where I'm from. And I have a good friend there named Rai Mohan, who was kind of recording music out of his bedroom at the time. And I went over to his house think before COVID, and recorded just like vocals and guitar of a few songs. And then when COVID hit, when we were pretty bored with not as much to do, we added some more other instruments. Like I played violin on it, and he added some other organ and guitar parts. So it was just kind of, we actually did that for like 7 songs and made like a little EP that we released. But out of all of those songs on that EP, that's kind of the one that I kept around just because it's about this person and it means a lot to me. But those other songs from that time have felt less relevant, and like I might revisit them down the road. But when I moved out here to California, and in like the past few years, I've just written so much more music that kind of I wanted to kind of clear, I kept that song, but I wanted to kind of have a clean slate to release what's on the decks.
Sure. So I guess what is on the deck? I mean, what's coming out for Young Mudra? In the future here. What's what's on the docket?
Well, there's one single that's kind of not attached to anything. It was also kind of just a bedroom recording experiment thing where I wrote and recorded a song all in the span of one night where I was like sick in bed. This was last year, New Year's. So like, around January 1st, 2024. So I guess 4 years after when you call back to me. And that song ended up being, it's called Mendocino. And I didn't really like think anything of it. I just kind of let it sit on my computer for a long time, as I do with a lot of things. Like I'll just record an idea, play around with it. But in this case, I was like sick in bed for so long that I actually like was forced to produce it and like add cool effects and play around. And I did it all in Logic. And eventually I was like, actually, this isn't bad. Like I would put this out. So that's how this new single Mendocino came to be. It'll be released in about a month. So it's coming out November 20th on, all your favorite streaming platforms. And it's just kind of a single. It's just kind of a vibe it's a song about a trip I took about a year ago with some friends to Mendocino, California to play music. And yeah.
Very cool. So like, will this be closer? Do you feel, you mentioned cleaning kind of the slate, like will Mendocino be closer to what we will see from Young Mudra moving forward? Or is it still kind of more a one-off and, we'll get into something, a little bit more what you're closer to what you're going to be on the next one?
As like the elements, but we have a lot of new stuff in the works because that song, like I recorded and did everything myself without any microphones, also just with like a laptop, And then in the past year, I kind of was like, oh, I want to take this thing more seriously. So I like acquired some more, of my own mics, a couple more guitars. I have too many guitars, but I have, and started being like, oh, maybe like, and playing more shows in the Bay Area where I live now. There's more of a scene. So like being surrounded by other people who take their music more seriously was like, oh, I should start taking this more seriously. So I would say Mendocino's in the category of like the Jung Mudra songs where I wrote, recorded, and produced everything. And then in September, so just a few months ago, I actually like booked a studio and got 2 of my childhood best friends and some actually, a bunch of friends of mine from throughout my life came together and we recorded this album of my songs at a studio here in Oakland called Tiny Telephone. And so that's like a 13-song album that we're still working on because more people are actually playing on it. I'm going to New York next week to record cello with someone who's going to play cello on it, who's done cello for a lot of other kind of big projects. So this album is kind of like definitely more like where Young Mudra's going. But I have some of these like bedroom recording songs that, I'm less shy about and maybe more like, proud of, but not necessarily proud of, just like okay with putting out there. So Mendocino's the first one of those. I have another one of those that I just actually finished mixing and mastering today. It's called Shadow Wave. And then I'm just kind of putting those out because I want to put some things out before we put out an entire album. And the album is a lot of like new material that I think people, that is kind of all over the place. There's a lot of different genres on it, but I think it kind of is cohesive in that my songwriting and my like vibe are kind of cohesive to a certain degree, you know?
Yeah. I mean, obviously getting in, you know, investing in equipment, getting like kind of that, like, all right, hey, we're going to do this. I want to do it the right way now. Like, and, you know, outside, obviously the bedroom songs will get you, you know, one way. And then now this will, you know, propel you to the next kind of, you know, phase of the project. So it sounds awesome that you guys are getting, you know, you're getting more people involved. You guys have, you have your, you know, record that will come out, you know, after you obviously get some more mixing and mastering done and all that. So a lot of big things ahead for Young Mudra, it sounds like.
Yeah.
As far as like the live scene, I mean, you mentioned some shows you played, like, you know, take me through, has the 13 song album, like, have a lot of those songs been played live already? Like, what's kind of the mix there? Or do you, when you gig, you kind of, you know, mix in different things? Like, what's kind of the set list look like at this point?
That's a good question. I kind of picked the 13 songs because they were the songs that I found most compelling to myself and to other people. It was funny, like when I moved to the Bay, I probably had already written maybe like 8 or 9 of those songs. And a lot of these songs were like about my time in Santa Fe. A lot of them were actually like love songs about a specific person I was with in Santa Fe. And then I moved here and that relationship ended. And then I wrote like sad songs about being sad about that. And I was now playing gigs and found that like, oh, like some of these songs resonate with people, and people are like, oh yeah, I like, you know, you go through these life experiences and the songs reflect that. And so I was playing a lot of shows in the Bay and I was like, oh, people really like the song Basketball that I wrote because it was like a breakup song. And, you know, and then funny enough, I got back together with that person just a few months ago, and she actually came and she filmed the process of making the album. So we're also working together on making this movie about the album. So basically when I like conceived of the songs that would be on the album, they kind of tell the story of this, like me moving here, but also kind of this relationship that, you know, ebbed and flowed in that period of time. And it was funny. I remember when I like wanted to make the album, I didn't really want to make an album, but my friend who's an engineer at the studio was like, hey, I want to make an album of your songs. So I made this like Google spreadsheet and put like, you know, like 100 songs that I'd written probably in like the past 10 years or something. Because I've been writing songs since I was like a kid. And I was like, okay, if I have to make an album, what 10 songs are like the ones I'd pick? And so I ranked them all. And those 10 songs also just ended up being these kind of more recent songs that are about, I think because my life experience has become more and more like, I don't know if I want to say potent, but like the past few years has been full of a lot of life experiences for me. And so the songs that are about those things ended up being the songs on the album. And so they all kind of connect too, which is nice.
Yeah. I mean, you know, that's interesting you bring up like a spreadsheet ranking. I've never had anybody say that. So like, what were the criteria? Was it just mainly like, all right, hey, like I played this one at this venue, big reaction, or like was it somebody coming up to you after the show like, hey man, I love that one, the third one you played? Like, you know, what were the criteria there to get those, you know, 13 out there?
It was kind of a little bit of both, and like definitely there was one song that I played pretty much at every show for the past few years called Guadalupe that people just seemed to love. So I was like, okay, that one definitely has to be on the album. But then there were a couple songs though that I like brought to the recording studio as like potential B-sides, like songs that I didn't think were going to be on the album, but I wanted to try them with the full band with my friends there. And it's funny, like some of those songs, like there was one song that I was like, this one's going to be on the album, the song called Goodbye, because I was like, this is like one of the best songs I've written, but I had never performed it live because it would have required more than for me to perform it live by myself wouldn't really make sense. But then when we got in the studio, I was like, oh no, we got to scrap this one. Like it doesn't fit the vibe of the album. But then some of these other ones that were like, this was just supposed to be a B-side or like a throwaway track ended up being like some of the best songs on the album. Just because like I think it's hard, like before you get into the studio, you might think of a song in a certain way. But when you're like in the studio recording live with your friends, like the emotional quality of that is very different than like being by yourself with the guitar.
Yeah, and you get more like of a, like when you play it, I guess for yourself, you maybe like sometimes you're just too close to it, I guess, and like you get the other people involved. Now you're like, oh wow, like the one I thought was going to be great is now, hey, like that's one that we're going to throw away, and we're going to take this one that I thought was going to be like, whatever, like put it right in the front. So that's interesting. The kind of like, when you bring the, new folks into it, but ultimately like it's still your vision, still, your songs, but it's just, seeing them in different ways. So I'm sure that was really exciting to get into and, have that, be a part of, the process here.
Totally. Yeah.
What, for your live set today, like, are you still, playing a lot around the Bay Area? Like, what are some of the places you play, like, consistently that you would recommend for maybe one of our viewers who would be coming out, to San Francisco in the Bay Area?
Question. Well, a lot of the shows that I started doing when I moved here were through this organization called So Far, which organizes shows like in major cities throughout the world. I think it started in London, and funny enough, I like saw one in London when I was in college and like traveling throughout the UK. But when I moved out here, someone just kind of gave me a contact to someone there, and it's very easy. They just organize the shows for you at these like random places. But since then, so like I started doing those probably like 2 years ago and have been kind of semi-consistent about it. And that's how I've gotten maybe like the most practice playing gigs in the Bay Area. As far as like shows, like I'm also in another band called Ruby Ruby, and I've done a lot of shows with them. That's a good band that I just play the guitar in, but I've helped like write songs, and we're actually recording an EP next weekend to showcase some of these are songs written by my friend Judy. But as of recently, I recently played a show at a place in the city in San Francisco called, oh my God, now I'm going to forget the name. What? I think it was called Kilowatt. It's a bar in the city with two friends, Jake Suture, who goes by Jake Hamden. The other band, what was the other band called? Sorry, it's been a long day. But upcoming shows, I'm playing a So Far show this Friday. And that one's really exciting because friend Sam, who actually, we went to high school together, but then kind of fell out of touch during college, But she randomly recently moved to the Bay Area. And when we were recording the album in September, she actually came and helped engineer just randomly. She was around and friends with all the other people because we're all childhood friends. So like my friends from Santa Fe and New York, who we all grew up together, came to play on the album, and so we were all hanging out. So Sam and I have reconnected, and since then, she and I have been like working up a new kind of Jung Mudra live show, because I'll either usually play solo or with my roommate, who's the drummer / percussionist, or with my other friend Charlie, who's the trumpet player. That's been kind of the combination, but Sam is also an amazing singer. And we've been working up this live set where she sings, but uses kind of like effects pedal on her voice. So I'm like playing guitar and singing. We're actually using a drum machine too. And then she's like singing, but adding these kind of cool like effects to her voice. So we're doing that this Friday at a Sofar in Oakland. And then when this new single, Mendocino, comes out next month, November 20th, we're doing a release show November 21st at a really cool plant shop in downtown Oakland called Ramses Art Garden. So they're a plant store, but they also sell all kinds of other cool local artists made stuff. So we're playing there, and 2 other bands are joining us, Perhapsy and Mayanel Marungi. So that's kind of the next big show that we have kind of coming up.
Love it. I mean, you guys are staying busy, that's for sure. I mean, it definitely, being in 2 bands, we got Young Mudra, on the rise here with the, November 21st show. And, obviously, this Friday, November 1st, is maybe coming out after that show happened. But I'm sure that, all the people who are listening in the future are, excited about it and had a great time. So, well, good. I mean, I think within the, the realm here, we want to get into Pete Peterson's party pack of questions. I love that we've got you here, Mohit, and, want to make sure that I really get the tough questions asked to you, from, a standpoint of, we really want to hear your stance on some stuff, want to know,
Quadruple P.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can't – I love it. You just called it the quadruple P. I've never had it called that before, so let's go. I mean, now it's got a new name. I mean, the Pete Peterson Party Pack, quadruple P. I mean –
election season, man, we got to ask the hard questions, right?
Exactly.
We got to
exactly.
know where everybody stands on these issues.
Yeah. We're putting it out there. We want to make sure that we make some friends while we do it along the way. So let's hit this here. Question number 1, cake or pie?
That's a pie. I'm a pie guy for sure. I actually have a song called Midnight Piece of Pie.
I mean, that's going to be one of mine. I'm going to need to, play that one over and over again because I'm a big pie guy myself. And, we'll get a little quick bonus. What kind of pie is the Midnight Piece of Pie?
It's definitely, well, the true one of the song was cherry pie. But I would say my favorite pie is the strawberry rhubarb.
Ooh, all right. A little kick there. I like that. Little kind of, she's switching gears. Salad or soup?
I'm a soup. I'm going to go with soup, but I love them both. I had a good soup today. I'm a member of something called Soup Guilds, where in my choir, we each bring soup, and then you can trade soups with other people. So last night I brought 3 jars of soup, and I came home with 3 jars of different soups. So every week I'm trying new soups, which has been fun. Wow.
I mean, what a way to get into the, get a wider variety of soups, choosing soups you never would choose before, and trading them. I love that. Love that. All right. Sunrise or sunset? What are you seeing more of these days?
Oh, a deep question. More sunsets. I've been sleeping in, which is really good.
Would you rather hit a home run or score a touchdown?
Neither of those were ever my sports. But if I had to choose between the 2 of them, I feel like hitting a home run is just way more satisfying.
Yeah. Getting that, just nuking one out of there. I love it.
Not that I could ever do it, but.
All right. Are you having more nights in or nights out these days?
Oh, I'm at a 50-50. I think I'm at a good ratio on that one.
All right. Right down the middle. Well, when you do have a night out and your jam comes on at your favorite bar, are you more likely to hit the robot or the worm on the dance floor? Doesn't dance.
I dance, but I don't use – neither of those moves are in my go-to.
Okay.
But if it was between the 2 of them, probably robot because I cannot do the worm. But I'm more of like a kind of feel the beat kind of guy.
Okay. I see that. Guac or queso at your favorite Tex-Mex spot?
Definitely guac, but there are places where the queso is to die for, especially where I'm from in Santa Fe. But I would say overall guac.
Guacin. All right. Waffles or pancakes?
Waffles.
All right. Coffee or tea?
To be only tea guy, but I have become coffee guy.
Okay. Coffeeing it up. Dogs or cats?
Controversial one. I love them both, but all things considered, I am more of a dog guy.
All right. We're dogging it up.
I own neither, but I've, had many a step dog and my dogs. I had a dog
Sure.
when I was a kid too, so those are like I've never owned my own cat, so it might be biased, just so people know.
Sure. Are you more like a ninja or a pirate? What do you identify more with?
More like a pirate.
Pirate.
Yeah.
All right. Avast G mateys. Okay. Gatorade or Powerade?
I didn't even know that they were. I bet you they're the same company behind the scenes, but Gatorade.
Gatorade. All right.
But also
Toast.
neither vitamin water.
Fair.
You know what I'm saying?
Toast or bagels?
Bagels.
Bageling it up. All right. Chips or pretzels?
Chips. Not a
Okay.
big pretzel guy, but
Fries or tots?
depends on what you're having with the fries or the tots.
With your burger?
Fries.
Fries. After a long day, are you more likely to hit a TV show or a movie?
One day. You know what? Don't do really either of those things, but I love me a good. You know what? I watch movies, but very slowly. Meaning, like, I just watched one movie and it took me all of last week because I watched like a little bit of it every night.
So it's like a TV show,
Take a movie and
a
make.
TV show clipped movie.
But it was a 4 hour long movie. So, you know, I had to break it up.
Holy cow. All right. Are aliens real?
Most likely.
Okay. Is Bigfoot real?
Likely.
Okay. Love at first sight. Is that real?
Definitely.
Definitely. Okay. And give us two bands that we might not know that we ought to check out. You have already mentioned a handful, so feel free to use those again, but give us a couple bands we ought to know.
Say the next, like, if you haven't listened to Perhapsy or Mayanel Murungi, who are both playing on this single release show we got coming up, check them both out. Both super awesome musicians in the Bay Area that I love a lot. And I just recently made a playlist. If you go to Jung Mudra on Spotify, I made a playlist called Friends and Fam, which is a playlist of like all of my friends and family, because my cousin Kiara also just put out her first album. She's an amazing singer and violinist in Switzerland. So if you're like looking for the music that I like to listen to by the people that I know, it's all on that playlist. So
Love that. We'll link it down here in the below in the description, so everybody can go check out the Friends and Family playlist and get you some plays on that piece. So, again, Mohit, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us here on Indiebnb. Everybody check them out. We got some releases coming up in November. Of course, November 20th, Mendocino is coming out. And then, a wider release, sometime next year for the album. But if you're in the Bay Area, November 21st at the Plant Shop. Say it again one more time for us.
Ramses Art Garden.
Ramses Art Garden. He'll be having his album release with his with some folks, Perhapsy. And who was the other one? Hold on one more time.
Mayanel Murungi.
Mayanel Murungi. So we getting all kinds of San Francisco love here. So excited to get you guys and get exposed to a little bit of Jung Mudra. So Mohit, thank you so much for coming on with us. Looking forward to seeing where things go for you guys.
Thanks so much for having me.
All right.